We are competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
Hello, my name is Arman Jenneler. I am really proud to be a part of this co-creation, Best for the World. The topic I'm going to touch today is about something that's really close to me. It's regarding mental health issues and actually striving for success when you have challenges in general. But in this case, I'm going to talk about a little bit about my own history and how it has affected me and the people around me, and also what you can do to change your narrative from destructiveness to but actually how you can manifest that same force into something positive for you and your world that surrounds you. So let's start by talking a little bit about me. My background goes. I'm just gonna go a quick 10 years back to when I started with sales. I worked at a company selling door to door and on events throughout Sweden. I worked in with sales on a pretty, you could say, standard level. I think it's a really good school in sales to begin with, and everything went well. Pretty soon, I think it was within my first month, I climbed to top 4 out of 80 sales individuals within that organization. And everything was fine. Everything was good. This was before I knew that I had bipolar disorder, if you can call it a disorder. But I have a bipolar disease. So everything went well. I never had any thought about the aspect of mental health issues before a couple of years later. But I was out. I was living life as a 20-year-old person does, or at least I did. I was a lot of party. It was a lot of things surrounding that mentality of I think some you could call it, or at least I choose to believe so at the moment, successful people, where it was a lot of party, it was a lot of what can you say, instant validation of what's that was what was most important, not only through work but also the whole environment around what surrounded that type of sales. So a couple of years went. I took I held my place as top 4th within the organization. So I was around all of Sweden from a couple of years, and then my successor on the role as in charge of that team was going to quit. So I got the opportunity at a for me, at least, too young age. I got a lot of responsibility. And in that particular moment, I felt really lonely because I was around a lot during the weekends, and when I was at home, I worked as well. So I lost more and more contact with friends and other things that was important in my life, and I didn't recognize that I was that vulnerable at that point. But then my auntie died, which was a really important person to me during that period, during all of my until she passed away. But that triggered actually my first episode, where I got the information I had. Or the diagnosis as a bipolar in a later on, but yeah, I started doubting myself, which led to that I didn't want to leave my house for over a month. I think I couldn't look people in the eyes. I couldn't meet anyone. So going from this extremely social person to not being able to meet anybody or do anything really hit me hard. And the fact that I couldn't meet my family really sunk in, because now that a person that stood close to me wasn't around anymore, I started thinking about things like, yeah, well, is it really worth it? And well, from one thing led to another, and I decided to quit. It was just like that. I didn't want to do this anymore. My current boss at the moment told me that I probably shouldn't work with sales anymore because I was mentally. Now it was stated I was mentally ill. I was bipolar. So yeah, of course you shouldn't expose yourself to that type of things, and such I was told. So yeah, that really hit me hard. You know, at a point where I was already bruised up from many different things, and yeah, I actually quit with sales and started working with delivery. So that was maybe the first trigger that actually led to me being hospitalized, where I couldn't take care of myself. So that was my first episode where I actually was not permanently, but I was hospitalized for 2 months. And yeah, it was, I think back then at least, it was even more of a stigma being bipolar or having any mental disorder, really, because there are so many. It's not only us with bipolar disease. So yeah, what was the consequence of that? I actually limited myself a lot. That was really the first wake-up call for me, where I know that I understood that I or I thought at least that I couldn't do everything, and that was something also that brought me to a vulnerable place where my confidence got a huge hit. But yeah. That was that, and but that led to a lot of destructive behaviors. I started questioning myself. I started questioning who I really was, or if it truly was this I was meant for, or maybe my boss was right. This was nothing for me, and I should do something else, and I should never challenge myself, or I should never do anything. And how do you say, psychiatric ward, or my psychologists told me that I shouldn't even drink coffee. I shouldn't drink coffee. I shouldn't drink alcohol. Shouldn't do, yeah, well, any of the things that I at the moment. Yeah, was a huge part of my life. So what did I do? Yeah, well, the opposite of what I should do. I partied even more. I did everything that I shouldn't do, and that was, I think, the beginning of a longer destructive behavior. But that was like the starting point of it. During the years, to push it a little bit further, I had a lot of episodes. I had 4 episodes where I entered a manic state and actually was forced to hospitalization at 4 numerous occasions. So instead of having a growth mindset, I was in the same pattern, and that was a destructive pattern. So I know quite a lot of how your subconscious mind can dictate your reality, and the ultimate form of insanity is probably doing the same thing over and over again, as some wise dude once said. So for me, that was destructivity, and you can find comfort in that as well, because I think when you have habits, since your subconscious mind is very, very lazy, I think you find comfort in both destructivity and in things that are positive for you. So my true wake-up call was a couple of years ago. It was when I moved to Malmö in Sweden, which is my current location where I live right now, and where I was in a relationship. Yeah, I was in a seemingly good relationship. Everything was nice, everything was good, but I still hadn't taken action or responsibility, because it's not only me that was. I thought I was a victim, but really I was hurting people around me, and that was a huge part of the shame, guilt, and fear that I built up during the years, which caused the destructive behavior, of course. But that led to a really, really bad situation for me. The consequence from that almost cost me my life, actually, because I was in Malmö, I was at my home, and I actually got to a point where I went from a manic state to an almost psychotic state, you can say. And for everybody who knows what a psychotic state is, it is a really, it is life-threatening. And the thing I didn't know was that in this case, I was the person that was life-threatening, really. I with all my destructiveness in the past years and all the unresolved feelings within, I hadn't addressed to that point. I was the force that was both aggressive and that got totally out of hand when I moved to Malmö, and during a certain part of that journey of my life. So what happened really was I was feeling bad for a while, and the thing that I did was I was being threatened. Actually, it was a real situation. I was being threatened by some people outside my apartment, but I went down with a knife. I went down with a knife, challenging, the people downside my apartment, which was, I mean, I was in a psychotic state, and I was very labile at the point, and I was a real threat, you know, which I mean, for me even talking about that, I wouldn't be talking about that 1 year ago. But yeah, that is the truth. I was the cause of it. And I take full responsibility for everything that happened there. Yeah, and because of that situation, of course the authorities came. Thank God I didn't do anything at that point to hurt anybody, but yeah. So and the police actually told me, you were like 1 second away. If you wouldn't have dropped that knife now, you would have a bullet in the back of your head. They told me that when I was in the police car, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. So for me, that was as close as I've been to death. I can say, and it was brought 100% by myself. What I tried to do during that period was getting myself hospitalized generally. So I went from hospital to hospital trying to get myself hospitalized. I wasn't let in, and in my state of mind, I actually went to Lund Hospital, and I was trying to get myself put in, and then they told me to. I was reading. My address was in Halmstad, so I couldn't get the help I needed, and then I decided. That I should take action to get forced into hospitalization, that they couldn't let me go. So I kicked a woman on the leg, a doctor in the psych ward on the leg until she fell down, and then the police came, and I was forced to hospitalization, and that was perhaps the turning point. I know it was the turning point of my life. Taking ownership as I do now, because I mean it's fully your own responsibility, whatever you do. For me, even after this, getting to sit down in court, acknowledging, because I didn't remember at that point that much of what I've actually had done. I was sitting with a whole class of students, and my family was there, and I was so ashamed of what I've done. And I had so many regrets, and I was even crying, I think, in court over what I've done to this woman, because she was the true victim of this. And for me, I don't know why, but I got the possibility to redeem myself. I mean, I didn't get incarcerated but I got how do you say? In Swedish we call it villkorlig dom, but it's being if I do anything in the coming 10 years, I will get incarcerated immediately. That's how you can put it in an easy way, so everybody understands. But that was a true wake-up call for me. I still hated myself. I still felt like, I felt like shit. I lost my job. I couldn't go back to the branch I was working in. I lost a relationship, of course. I lost my home. If it weren't for my family, I think I would have. I don't know what I would have done, but I would most certainly would have been homeless. You know. So thank God for my family in that aspect of it. So for me, I as I normally did in my destructive behavior, I went back to the normal way of living, not partying, of course, because I had some wake-up call with this. But I went back to a job actually too soon, and what happened then was, I met this girl who is my fiancée at the moment, which I told my story. plain for her, exactly what I've done, exactly what I did to that point. And I wanted her to know everything. And she accepted me for who I was. And I think that was the true turning point. But first, that was the first time I got an outsource acceptance from somebody else. And that gradually made me accept who I am. Accept the things that had happened, and realizing slowly that the things that happened yesterday don't have to define what you will be able to do or accomplish today, or in the future for that matter, because what happens in the future starts today. I got help from the psychiatric department in Malmö, and I've quite recently, I think that is the only reason why I can sit here and talk about this, is I went a 21-week course in self-help and recognizing my own triggers and my own, and also addressing what my wounds and starting the process of self healing, because as I've of course you couldn't call it victims exactly, but I have of course hurt people along the way, and I have forgiven myself, and I most importantly have forgiven others, because that's what means the most, I think, that you forgive others so you can forgive yourself, and vice versa, and start loving yourself so you actually can allow love in your life, because that is the true key. I mean, to live with shame, to live with guilt, to live with destructiveness, to live with everything that's negative in a vital part of your life for so long, to change that same force that drives destructivity to positivity and love, you can have that same force working for you instead of against you. That will do true wonders for yourself, both within yourself and for others in the future. So for me, it's about owning, it's about taking action, it's about self-help, because as long as you have an external source for help or for anything, you will always be the victim, and start victimizing yourself before helping yourself and growing through every experience in your life. So I think that was the first time I actually thought, in many years, that I don't want to hold myself back anymore. I don't want to live that life. I want to spread love. I want to spread positivity, and I want good things in my life to come. So after that experience, after those experiences, for example, and that is just some few out of many, but I got some nice results. 1 year ago, as I said, I would never have been able to have this conversation with myself. No more than with you. But for me, it has resulted in that now today, 1 year later, where I actually have started analyzing myself and lifting up and starting healing myself and starting to forgiving and giving more than I'm gaining, I actually have started my own company, which would never be possible before. I have many positive things in my life. The scale of negativity to positivity has gone from destructiveness to positivity and to well-being and love in my life in almost every aspect. I'm still working on myself, as every human being should do. I am working with a growth mindset. I am working with a clear structure. And I think a thing that is really important to know is to have goals set up for yourself that align with what you truly want yourself, to ask that inner child in yourself, what do you truly want? What do you hunger for? And most often you get the answers naturally, and the hows on how you will achieve those will just come along the way. You don't have to know everything about your future, but as long as you live in the present, and that present you will allow that to define your future instead of your past. I sincerely believe that every human can achieve practically anything that they want. So for me, it's numerous things to talk about, and there are a lot of different aspects when it comes to mental health, and when it comes to what success is. And I think that is the biggest success that I have achieved this year and in my life so far is to actually feel genuinely happy every day that I wake up, and just happy to be alive and happy to have the possibility to make a change in the bigger run. So that was everything from me.